So, our brains, we have our, always give this demo of our brains or representation. We have the amygdala in the middle of our brains, which controls basic functions of our body, heart, breathing, but it's also where the anger, negativity, fight or flight, from how it evolved. And then we have the emotional brain, and then over that we have the thinking brain, which has evolved recently. But the brain has evolved with what's called a plasticity. That means it's malleable. It can change. It can change and adapt very easily. But the reason change fails is how it's communicated. And that's one part that you're going to practice today. There's a whole, a program of change management, a whole process. And we're going to go over a lot of the steps of that. And then today, your change leaders are going to be doing one part of that, which is communicating the change. Communicate. And here's some reasons that change fails. There's resistance, but that resistance comes from not knowing, not understanding, and not believing in why we're changing, right? If you go to I always give the example, if you go to a doctor, I know in the U.S. they do it this way anyway, you go to a doctor, they explain everything they're going to do to you, right? They set your expectations to make you feel comfortable, right? You come in, the doctor comes in, he says, I'm going to ask you to, they say disrobe, they use these terms. I ask you to disrobe, I'm going to ask you to put your clothes over here. I'm going to leave the room. Then I'm going to come back, I'm going to knock on the door 3 times, and then I'm going to come in, I'm going to examine you. After I'm finished examining you, I'm going to leave the room, okay? You can put your clothes back on. And then I'm going to come back, or the nurse is going to come back in. She's going to knock on the door. She's going to come in. And why do they do that? To set your expectations, right? So you know what's going on. You know what's going to happen. So then you're not fearful, If some doctor just came in, stuck his cold hands on you, what's going on? So, they explain to make you feel comfortable. So that's why there's resistance change, because the change management model, the change management process was not followed. We didn't build a case. The executives weren't behind it. There was no consensus among them because they didn't get buy-in from the executives. They didn't get them on board, and there's different ways to do that. Each one of these we can go into for a long time. How to get people to buy in, how to build a case. There was no one executive champion for this change. A champion is somebody that gets out and says, yay, let's go, guys, instead of like, okay, you go out there and fight the war, and I'll be back here. I'm a historian too. I have 4 master's degrees, but one of them is in history. I was just watching one last night, and it was about, you're the general, you're like the guy out there in front. And they always, if you watch History Channel or something, they're always talking about this, right? So you need an executive champion. This guy is like, guy or gal, and say, hey, let's go, and they're actually in there with you doing it. Okay. Inadequate project teams, skills, and also they haven't followed the GRPI, right? Okay. So that's why they have inadequate project teams, because they haven't followed their goals, they don't know the roles, they don't know the process, and they interpersonal. The expectations were unrealistic. Staff is involved too late. No cross-functional project team. This is from Industry Week. So we can turn threat into opportunity by looking at who are our sponsors. How are we going to build a case with them to get them on board with this change? And building alignment, saying, building the case, building alignment is about saying, well, if we do this, here's why it's good. But if we don't do this, here's what's going to happen. And today you have a case study. It's about, moving, we use a very straightforward one. It's moving buildings. Okay, but you still want to follow all the steps. We don't just say we're moving and that's it. Okay, you're going to have a lot of other situations, a lot of other changes. This is just, we're moving buildings, and you need to consider how it's going to affect employees, how it's going to affect their feelings, emotions, and then again, how what is the goal, how we're going to work together, how we're going to get ownership. Some of the directors or managers, are they going to own part of the project to move their team? What if we don't do anything? The message and messenger, who's communicating the message? It's not just sending out a memo or an email, hey, we're moving, okay, be there. So it's about how this is communicated, so you as the leader for this change, you need to decide the place, the time, how you're going to communicate the vision. Why are we moving? So you want to say it's good, brand awareness. We can better serve our customers. It's better technology or something at this facility. What is it? And who's involved? Engaging stakeholders. This is a human. This is the interpersonal. This is a human emotion. What are they going through? What's the cycle of change? Understanding what people are going through. The WIIFM. What's in it for me? Okay? People want to know what's in it for them. Okay, what do they get out of it? What benefit is it? And then the repetition. So, as our change communication leaders, you want to repeat your core message 3 to 4 times. So you have the big main reason that you're moving. And you want to repeat that. If it's to better serve, maybe you're moving to a location that's to better serve customers, you want to mention that in your talk, in your meeting, you mention that 3 to 4 times. So repetition. Okay? We're moving there to better serve customers. And then a few minutes later, this is going to help us better serve customers because it's going to be easier for them to access to get to us. And then later, you're going to maybe say it in a different way. Okay? Customers, it's about our customers. It's about our customers having access to us. So 3, 4. Okay, so repeat your core message 4 times. Okay, change leaders. And then two-way communication, you're going to have an opportunity for employees to ask you questions face-to-face. Okay? So could be about transportation, or how am I going to get there, or I have kids in school, daycare, whatever. So they can have direct, face-to-face communication. Maybe the leader sets up an office or sets up some contact person, but they're also there to answer questions at this meeting. Okay, so you as the leaders. And then after you leave, again, before, during, and after. After you move, how are you going to assess? Okay, how are you going to assess and measure that the move was a good thing? Okay, survey. Is it going to be a survey? Or it's going to be on behavior. So you're going to observe behavior, or what? So you need to decide. After, how are you going to measure and assess so that the change is sustainable, okay, so that it's accepted? So basically, want to know where we are, where we're going, and how are we going to get there. Sounds very straightforward. A lot of times people don't think about it. The context means what are all these other things that are going on with the stakeholders? What's going on with them? What do they need? Maybe there's some award, some incentive. You can offer them some transportation fee subsidies, or the way that they move. How are you going to move? Are you going to have this department move? Maybe they're mission critical. You have this department move. They support this other department. So how are you going to move people there? Steps to change. Set up for success, build the leadership alignment. The sponsor, and the sponsor is the person that's going to, really believe in this, They really believe in the change, and they want to see it happen, and they're going to be there from beginning to end. Okay, not just during the move, but they're going to be there as a resource, helping out during the entire process. And then engaging stakeholders appropriately. Okay. And you're going to follow your GRPI as well. And this fits right into the GRPI. It's about shared responsibility as a team or teams. How are the people interacting? This is your interpersonal relations. And how it gets done, the process. How the work is designed and managed. How's it monitored? How's it evaluated? And again, you're going to follow conflict resolution. How are conflicts? I haven't heard a lot of that. How are conflicts going to be solved? So let's focus on the interpersonal a little bit more. I haven't heard any of the teams talk a lot about that. If we have conflict, how are we going to resolve it? So what is the mechanism? What is the real, like the practical way? Two people have conflict. How will it be resolved? Will it be consensus? Will it be vote? Or how are we going to work together, okay, as a team? So let's focus on that. I haven't heard a whole lot about that. And then the results. Okay, a little bit about the planning process. Have specific goals and objectives. Make sure you've considered the stakeholders and how they will be involved. What are their feelings? What are their emotions? Design and implement strategies and plans. Plan for monitoring success and ensuring sustainability. This means after the change takes place, how are you going to measure it? How are you going to make sure it's long-term and sustainable? And understanding the change curve. We want to understand this for ourselves, intrapersonal, and also interpersonal. We want to know what are other people going through when they experience change. So it's kind of a mindset. It's a frame of mind, really. To know, you have kind of the beginning here, when you begin a project, it can be a relationship, anything. We kind of go through these stages. There's a book written about 50 or 60 years ago called I'm Okay, You're Okay. It's kind of similar. Has anybody ever heard of that? Starts out, I'm okay, you're okay. Okay. And then next, what's the next stage? I'm okay, but you're not okay. And then the third and final stage is, I'm not okay, and you're not okay. But that's okay. So, just you come to the realization, okay, that we have faults, and we accepted change, and then we're moving on. So we see this a lot. Okay, let's begin. And this time we're going to change a little bit. As I mentioned, the presenting team that's coming up here, that's holding their meeting, can come up front so everybody can see, okay, and hear a little better. All right, so have you come up here. So again, read your case studies, please, and follow your GRPI, and then follow the agenda, and follow the practice to hold a meeting, to communicate change. Okay. Good. And any questions? I'll be around.